I feel like you've done this multiple times because you're transparent and you know exactly what you want. And a lot of people, they have an idea and they'll muddle through it and they'll uh, you know, get through the finish line, if you will, and approach a woman, and time goes on, and then there's that point. If she says she loves you, you love her, whatever it may be. But sometimes it might be too soon, and the guy feels like his heart's broken because the girl's not ready to receive it, and she tends to, not all, but for whatever reason they made run away, even if the guy didn't profess his love, but he was getting to levels of feelings that he liked about her and admired her. Because love doesn't always have to be like, that primitive side of, oh, she has some pretty colors on her, like I would like to mate with her. It's not like that. It's just there's qualities that men see in women that I don't think men articulate very well, and they surely don't say it as well because again, that's why we have locker room, because it's guys that feel like they've been boxed into a corner to, I mean, as silly as it sounds, to have a safe place, to talk about how they feel and the obstacles that they're coming across, whether they're in a relationship or wanting to get in a relationship, or they're working on their craft or their goals. And I know that that's heartbreaking when a woman leaves. And so this is where Mr. Lockroom was talking about, like, lions will be coming out. And I had a conversation, actually, I've had quite a few conversations from the last time we spoke, um, with multiple women, men, and I've asked them this question. And from TV, and not the TV, what we see on TV and not what we see on social media is like the end all be all for truth. That's not where we should always be looking for truth, anyways. Uh, but through the connections of people and their experiences, and then that's where we gain our wisdom, hopefully through them and not from our own mistakes. So as I'm going around asking people, the question is, it's primarily with women, did your mom ever discuss with you what it's like to be a wife?
You asked them that?
Yes. You know what the prominent answer was?
No.
You're right. That's what it was. No. Then I took a step further and I wanted to dive deeper into it. And so I asked him, I said, "Hey, uh, you know, you had a good relationship with your grandmother, right? Did grandma pass that wisdom on to you about what it's like to be a wife?" No.
See, we talked about go ahead.
Some were fortunate enough to be around great grandma, great great grandma. No. So we're going generations back, talking to other women as well. No. And it's something that it's interesting because as us guys, we hear about one of the women's dreams is like that perfect wedding, but then they kind of made fun of it for a hot minute with Bridezilla, because that woman wanted everything to go exactly right. And I understand it because they've been thinking about it ever since they knew what a wedding was, but they didn't know what it's like to be a wife. And it's heartbreaking because, I think guys have, and I would include myself in that, because it's kind of like, oh, that woman happens to have daddy issues. But I think it really stems from the women have mommy issues. Would you agree or disagree?
Bro, that's a difficult question to answer.
I know
Um,
you want to be politically correct.
no, it's not
Listen.
about it's not about being politically correct, right? Right, because it's like mommy issues, it's like over dependence, emotional neglect, you know, and in enmeshment, and things like that. Um it goes back to it goes back to the conversations, right? So I have an auntie, and every time I come and visit, I go every time I go to Illinois, right? I always, my whole family, everybody knows. It's like I'm going to stop and see my great auntie. That is a required stop while I'm in town, right? She's 100, going on 101, right? And that's a blessing for me, right? Most people don't have that, right? And every time I go and just sit with her, it's because, and she talks about her life. She talks about what she had to endure and live through. She talks about raising children. She talks about being married. She talks about what it was like for her to be a wife. She talked about how her husband responded. So I'm sitting here listening to all these things, and I can ask her questions, and we can talk and go back and forth because she's very much in her right mind, right? She's not decrepit or anything like that. And so that's what I mean about it's about the conversations. It's all about the conversations. I have a space to where I can ask those questions to get that type of insight and wisdom and information. I'm bold enough to ask those questions. I'm
Mhm.
curious enough to want to know the answers. Not pretty, not from some type of tell me what I want to hear. It's like, and then I go to a place where I know I will get told the truth. Because my auntie will not sugarcoat it. She will not. I came up with there one day. She said, "Oh, you're getting bigger." you know? And she's like, "You calling me fat?" She's like, "No, no, no. I see your muscles over there, son. I see them." I was like, "Oh, okay, auntie. All right, then. Because she gonna tell you. She will tell you. She does not, she does not sugarcoat anything. So that's what I mean about the conversations. It's like, so if they're not having these conversations with their moms, I want to ask the question, are you asking? Are you
No, they're
just
not asking. I've asked that. They're not
yeah?
asking. The
Well,
other, my other thing too is that I feel that they're not having that, like the mothers aren't taking the time to teach their daughters what it's like to be a wife because we're in a cycle of a generational curse.
hmm,
So what I mean by that is I love history and I love statistics, so forgive me, but somewhere around 1945, 1960.
wait, hold on. It's like you don't have to ask for forgiveness, bro. You're not too much, bro.
Oh, I'm too much. When I say I'm too much, I am too much for what would be conditioned for the Western woman or the Western European side of women.
Captain Awesome.
Because we're looking at generations. So it's hard to ungrain this what is because more is caught from what is taught. So for people to for our audience to be listening, don't shake your head because I know what I'm talking about. Because you made me kind of slow my roll down when I'm talking here, but I will get to the point. But I'm just kind of because again, we are all people and we're emotional creatures, so I have to be sensitive to that barrier so that they actually listen to what I'm saying before I trigger them. Because if I trigger them, they're not going to listen to the rest of the message.
No, that's not what I was talking about, bro.
Okay.
I'm saying you are not too much.
All right.
The whole purpose of this episode, what was the title? You know, the whole thing is like
Am I
you.
too much or am I free?
So are you fully free, bro? Because it's like you're not sharing information to devalue or deframe anybody. You're sharing information because you stumbled upon something that is not happening. So you just pointing out facts and truth,
Yeah,
that's
but
not too much.
yeah, and there's a quote that goes around like facts don't care about feelings, and so that's what I'm telling people. And in the comment section, you can go and find some other facts. I'm always open to it. I'm always looking for both sides, but I'm going to tell you, I believe it was around 1945 through 1960 that women started growing into their own, but not in the best way with the family court systems. And so when a woman wanted to divorce her man, she got the child. And then that's where the generational curse has
Mhm.
created and perpetuated itself. And then you have, the child support system, and you have women relying on that type of structure, pulling the man away as far as possible to collect as much child support as they can. And so now this woman has the responsibility to raise another woman. And then I'll get to the men. So once the woman has to raise this child, it's not easy, even if she has child support coming, because now she has to work. So she's stressing to her daughter, go get a higher education. I don't want you to be like me. Daughter goes through a higher education. Now she has an obligation to mommy, who worked 2 or 3 jobs if she wasn't collecting child support. If she was working one job and collecting child support, it was still a lot to take on. I'm not going to say it's going to be easy. Now, mommy and daughter have this interesting relationship because they'd never really had the conversation of what it's like to deal with conflict. They just thought of ways to supersede conflict and find a high paying job and not have to rely on a man. So if a man confesses his love, going full circle here, um, that might be too scary
Mhm.
because that conversation really didn't come about on how to be a wife, how to prepare for a future. I don't need a man. I have, a successful paying job, but yet I would like to have kids. I may want to travel internationally, but what does that look like on a financial side of things? How much are you willing to contribute if you do get married? Are you going to contribute 10%? Are you going to contribute 0%, being stay at home? So there's this huge dilemma that's going on in the Western culture because right now, the Western women, and that's why I'm, saying this too for like the two women that are listening to our locker room chat, is that the Asian women and the Eastern European women are going to be outranking the Western women by far if they don't get their act straight and stop perpetuating this curse. Because there's things that as I'm going, I have a glimpse of the world from time to time, and it's like, and I see what people have said before. Feminism is starting to go to the wayside
Mhm.
because now it's like women are trying to be men, and men coming to the locker room are wanting a safe space because they don't have a place to go back home where there's this light and this feminism from women that they should be expecting. Instead, it's like meeting another guy, someone who's argumentative with you, someone that's trying to be both the head of the household because they're taking care of the kids at the house or they're taking care of the job. There hasn't been that teaching moment. And for men, as I said before, I'm not going to say that this is a beat up on women because men, I know women are like, well, men are da da. Who raises the men? The women were also left with that divorce court, the family court, to raise those future men.
Mhm.
And so now you have beta males who are bowing down, and now the woman is the head of the household, and the man is just being submissive because he feels lonely or doesn't even know how to embrace his masculinity because they took the father out of their lives. And of course, I'm not saying this is for all of America, but it's a high percentage. If we're looking at, again, 54% is the divorce rate, and we have the unspoken part of the households where they're just going along until one of them passes away,
Mhm.
the divorce rate would probably be even higher.
I see what you're saying, and you're touching on a lot of points, and you're bringing up a lot, a lot more in-depth principles than what is just actually you just said. So it's like, and as it relates to the different cultural senses, one side of things focuses on legacy, right? Legacy building. Um,
That's what men want, but women don't understand. I don't think women understand that that's what men want. Men as are the consumer of the product. And I feel like in this modern day, women have, it's what's that term? Body positivity image thing. They're trying to condition us, and I believe there's a psychology term like the Bradley effect, where you basically trying to manipulate the society so then that way the society doesn't actually speak up on the survey, so it distorts what the actual evidence is. So they were like, well, see, everybody wants, an unfit woman. No, you cannot take the primitive side out of the man. You can't say a man doesn't want his cheese pizza or he doesn't want his hamburger. If that's what he wants, that's what he wants. But you can't force that on him. But the society has been changing it. And so that's why, I was bringing that up is that when a guy pursues a woman, it's getting really weird because she feels like, oh, I can just pick whoever I want and then just ghost or run away because mom didn't teach her how to do that. And she can just go into her work and just, deal with her problems that way. So it's almost like women are becoming men and men are losing their masculinity. So I know I am touching on a lot of parts, but that's why I said the lines will be coming out on this because it's
But no,
not easy to
it's
digest.
okay. It's okay because it's hard to separate, right? It's hard to separate because it's causality, right? It's a duality, a cause and effect that you can't have one without the other, and you can't continue. The whole thing is an assembly of causality, right? It is a combined product that has multiple systems that have been brought together because of causality, right? Because this happened, now we have that. Going back to what you were talking about with the women and the respect, right? Western women versus the Eastern and European women, right? The mindset is very different in the sense of when you're coming to something that's in the Eastern world, like let's just say, you go past like Africa, you split, you go for this way. I'm not saying Africa is not included. I'm just saying based off of the two that you talked about, the Eastern and the Western women, you bring European and Asian. The focus on building generation is different, right? The Eastern and Asian culture is all about building legacy. Legacy that's not rooted in capitalism. Legacy that's rooted in land, children, dynasty building, right? We're talking about ancient civilization of perpetuation, right? In the Western, it's about arriving in the American dream. Right. So it's like oh, I have my businesses, I'm making my millions, and now I'm going into being multi-millions, and now I'm going into the billionaire, right? And then soon we're gonna be coming into all the first trillionaires, right? But that's what it's all about over here, because like not a lot of people aren't really focusing on living a legacy of health, wealth, and prosperity that's not focused around just money, right? So, and I'm not saying that's not the case, but the primary focus in America is money and leaving generational wealth, trusts, bank account, stock, land, property, all of that, commodities to the next generation. But they forget that wealth is not just material. Wealth is wisdom. Wealth is love. It's emotional stability. It's intellectual understanding and security. It's spiritual
Sacrifice.
development and growth, right? And so those type of mindsets is lacking in the conversation and the discussions that we see here. And yes, we do have the dynamic of where when you are dealing with the divorce situation that most of the time the woman does end up with the children and the man is limited to once a week or every other week or every other weekend, if that, in a lot of cases, even if the man truly wants to be actively involved, right? And so that is a whole nother system that this podcast is not talking about, right? It's dealing more so with the legal system um, and how the systematic structuring of the family is being regulated in not only just America but in governments period. But for the sake of kind of structuring and focusing in on men and women, masculinity and femininity, you are correct. Men want, and I don't know about you, I'm going to speak for myself. I absolutely desire and crave being in the presence of a woman who knows how to hold her femininity, because that is powerful. That is powerful. And I'm probably telling on myself right now, right? It's like when I am in the present, and I have been, when I am in the presence of a woman who knows she's a woman, who knows her femininity and carries that energy, that presence, it's like I melt. I I become undone. And it's not in a sexual way or an arousal way. It's just because the potency of that type of presence matches with my masculinity. And I literally can't really do much. Like I
You're
was
not the
having a
only
con
one, though.
huh?
You're not the only one. That's what guys want. That's what guys want. They want feminine women, and they just don't know how to articulate it. They're like, oh, well, she's pretty. I'm like, well, how many women do you see on a day that walk in heels? You
Yeah.
know, like
And it's
that's
not
just so simplistic. And I know heels out there, women are not the most comfortable, but and there's a lot of things that you women go through that are not comfortable. But I'm just saying, like, you got to embrace that feminism because that's what guys want. We also want you to be fit. And as much as you hate it, because that shows that you actually take care of yourself and you're also going to be a leader in your household for the health for your husband and for your kids.
Mhm.
Like, we want you to be fit. And then the other one thing that we want you to do is be cooperative, not argumentative, because you need to trust us. And that's why I've said before, like there's some guys that have pulled in some crazy looking women and the looks seem a little off, but that guy has a ton of security, whether it be his wealth or his confidence, but he showed something to her to land that. And so that, and the reason why I'm stressing that last part too is that is also going back to why a lot of women run from you guys. They don't feel secure.
Mhm. Yeah, and it also goes to, and like here is what we're saying. We're not objectifying the appearance of a woman. No, it's like we're not doing that at all, right? And walking in heels, great. You can wear heels, walk in heels. You sent me a freaking video about this doctor that was talking about. Do you know the one I'm talking about? The with the standing. I forgot what it was, but I was listening to her talk about her
He was in
research.
heels. Mhm.
Well, she was in heels, but it wasn't. She was sitting down talking to the man across from her, and the way she carried herself in that freaking interview. Oh my gosh, the poise, the posture. She wasn't. She was. I mean, she was dressed appropriately and as a doctor, and it was the fact that she just carried herself. I'm sorry. She just carried herself in such a way that that was the longest video ever, right? It just kept going on and on and on, right? Because it's just like that type of presence. It's like women. That's what that response. That is the response. What I just showed you, when you show when you show up in your feminine presence, because it's like I am not going to back down my masculinity to make you or anybody else comfortable or palpable or digestible. Okay? I don't chase, I'm not commanding or demanding or anything like that. I'm going to show up, right? And I don't have an expectation in any of that because it's like either you're going to match it or you're not. Period, right? So when I am around someone like that, I was on a conversation, I had a call with a friend of mine who's a woman, right? And she was talking to me and she said something to me. I was preparing to go get some groceries. I didn't make it out that door, right? Because she snatched me so quick over that phone, which is with just what she had to say, that I sat down. I sat down because this woman just grabbed me with her words and her presence. And it wasn't sexual. It's not a romantic relationship. It's simply a pure platonic relationship that I have with women. Yes, you can have platonic relationships and it not be leading to a bedroom type of thing or relationship as far as romantic. And that we need to normalize that because you can be fully in your masculinity and her fully in her femininity and just have a mutual, non-performative, non going beyond that type of experience and exchange. It's not transactional, right? And so I have these type of women in my life, and she was talking to me about something about just not always having to lead. And what she said to me was it brought out the lion and the cub, the roar and the purr, right? I didn't have to choose between the two. She
Yeah.
gave, I'm sorry.
No, no, I totally get what you're saying because see, like this is what guys aren't talking about. And so like I go around jokingly now, like we're both kind of nerds with certain things. Have you ever seen the movie Iron Man?
Yeah. Thank you so much for letting me be because it's like I'm literally having a
But I mean
moment.
that's exactly what guys want. I mean, girls, ladies, if you're listening, yes, that's what we're like. I know that's hard to believe. Don't let social media like sway you to be like body positivity. And the women that are doing that are the ones like crabs. They're just pulling the fitness ones down and saying, no, just embrace being comfortable. That is not the right way. We want femininity to be, you know, back. That's what we want back. And you can see how Mr. Locker Room just can't even get words out because he's at a loss for words when those women show up. So again, have you seen the movie Iron Man?
I have, yes.
In the second, have you seen the second movie Iron Man?
I've seen all of them.
Okay, so with that being said, Pepper Potts. That's all I have to say. Pepper Potts.
Yes.
That explains femininity to a T. Pepper Potts. She knows exactly what her man wants. Doesn't even have he doesn't even have to ask. She is already on it. Like that's where we need to be back for guys to feel comfortable in their masculinity and for women to feel like a woman again.